Something serious is brewing at Ibrox, and it's not just another bad result or frustrated fans sounding off online. The official Rangers Fan Advisory Board, the one the club itself set up less than a year ago, has just come out with a blunt and powerful message. They want Russell Martin gone. And they're not whispering it in the background. They're shouting it from the rooftops. This isn't your everyday fan forum rant. This is an organized group, created by Rangers, backed by the club, with direct lines to senior management, now turning those very channels against the current manager. That tells you just how far things have fallen, and how urgently fans want change. Now let's wind it back for a second. This fan advisory board was launched in November of last year. At the time, it was all about strengthening the connection between the club and the supporters. A proper initiative, too. Structured dialogue, regular meetings with the boardroom, giving the fans a voice at the top table. Sounds great, right? But now that voice has turned into a roar, and it's aimed squarely at Russell Martin. Their statement leaves no room for misinterpretation. They basically said, in plain English, no matter what happens on Sunday, Martin should be sacked immediately. Not if the results don't improve, not if we drop points, but right now, before the anger that's built up turns into apathy. And that word, apathy, might just be the most dangerous thing in the entire message. Because any football club, especially one the size of Rangers, can deal with frustration. Fans getting angry means they still care. They're still turning up. They're still chanting, even if it's in protest. But apathy? That's when folks stop coming, stop believing, stop caring. That's when the club's in real trouble, not just on the pitch, but at its very core. And what's mad about this whole thing is that this is exactly what the Fan Advisory Board was created to prevent. It was supposed to be a way to close the gap between the fans and the decision-makers, to keep the support engaged, and to make sure the people upstairs heard what was happening on the ground. Well, they've heard it now, loud and clear. The question is, will they do anything about it? Now let's not sugarcoat this. Russell Martin's tenure has been underwhelming at best and downright catastrophic at worst. 3 draws in the league already, 6 points dropped, while Celtic march ahead without mercy. And then that humiliation in Europe. A 6-0 drubbing against Club Brugge that could have been even worse if we're being honest. It was one of those nights where you just wanted the referee to blow the whistle early and put us out our misery. It was a collapse, plain and simple. And it's not just the scorelines, it's the way the team's playing. Or rather, not playing. No identity, no conviction, no fight. When the Fan Advisory Board talks about standards set by successful Rangers teams of the past, they're talking about the days when Ibrox was a fortress. When every team that came here knew they were in for a battle. When we didn't just compete in Europe, we belonged there. That expectation hasn't gone anywhere. But the football? It's miles off the mark. And fans have had enough. But here's the twist. According to multiple reports, Martin still has the backing of the boardroom. Yep, despite everything, the higher-ups are apparently standing by their man ahead of this weekend's Old Firm clash. You've got to ask yourself, what's it going to take for that to change? Another hammering on Sunday? A 9-point gap before September even begins? Because if that happens, this season could be over before it's even properly started. And that would be unforgivable. Russell Martin himself doesn't seem like a man about to quit. After the debacle in Belgium, he faced the media and tried to put on a brave face. He said the defeat was hurtful and unacceptable, which, fair enough, at least he's not pretending otherwise. But then he added something that raised eyebrows. He said, "I don't think we're going to be beaten 6-0 again." That's hardly the rousing message you want to hear from your manager. He talked about how heavy the mood is in the dressing room, about trying to free the players up for Sunday, and about how the group just isn't strong enough to handle setbacks. Again, that's honest, maybe too honest. Because if your own manager is saying the players crumble under pressure, that's not just a confidence issue. That's a culture issue. And when it comes to fan reaction, he didn't shy away from it. He said he understands the boos, the chants calling for his head, the disappointment. He acknowledged that it's coming from a place of love for the club, and that fans want to see a team they can be proud of. But here's the thing, it's been months. Not years. Not even a full season. And yet already, people are demanding change. That tells you just how quickly things have unraveled. There's no more credit in the bank. No goodwill to lean on. It's results or nothing now. And to add to the chaos, the squad itself is in flux. The club's just agreed to send Hamza Igerman to Lille after he flat-out refused to come off the bench against Street Mirren. Let that sink in for a second. A Rangers player refusing to come on. That's a scandal in itself. Then he doesn't even travel to Belgium. Now he's on his way out the door for just over £10 million. That's a big move, but it also raises questions about what's going on behind the scenes. Discipline, morale, attitude, it's all being tested. And right now, Rangers are failing that test. To fill that gap, the club is moving quickly. Reports say they've struck a deal with Girona to bring in Bojan Majowski, a player well known in Scotland from his time at Aberdeen. He's been on the radar all summer, and with both Igerman and possibly even Cyril Dessers on the way out, the need for reinforcements is urgent. Majowski's fee is believed to be around $2.6 million initially, with add-ons that could take it past $4 million. That's not nothing. But if he hits the ground running, it might just be a bargain. Still, transfers are only part of the puzzle. The bigger issue is identity. This team doesn't know what it wants to be. The fans know what they expect, and that's to challenge for titles, to go deep in Europe, and to play with pride. Right now, we're seeing none of that. And that's why the advisory board's message has landed like a bombshell. Because it's not just about one result or one manager. It's about the direction of the whole club. And when you look around Europe, this kind of organized fan feedback isn't new. In Germany, clubs like Borussia Dortmund have structured systems where supporters help shape policy. But there's a key difference. Those clubs respect the power of the fans. At Rangers, the board now finds itself in a tricky position. They created the advisory board, gave it credibility, gave it a voice. Now that voice is calling for change. Do they listen? Or do they ignore it, risk undermining the entire process, and watch the divide grow wider? Because make no mistake, this is a pivotal moment. Sunday's match against Celtic isn't just about 3 points. It's about pride. It's about belief. And for Russell Martin, it might just be about survival. So now we head into the biggest game of the season so far, and it might just be the most important game of Russell Martin's managerial career. The first Old Firm clash, Rangers versus Celtic at Ibrox, and everything's on the line. The mood's rotten, the pressure's boiling, and to be brutally honest, this is no longer just about bragging rights. This could define the rest of the campaign, and it could very well decide whether Martin keeps his job or not. Let's not pretend we don't know the stakes here. Celtic are already 6 points clear after just 3 matches. 3 games. That alone should have set alarm bells ringing at the boardroom. If Rangers lose this derby, we're looking at a 9-point gap before the end of August. That's not just a bad start. That's a catastrophe. Because no matter how early in the season it is, crawling back from 9 points behind Celtic is a mountain we've rarely climbed. And given the current form, it's hard to see this Rangers side even finding their hiking boots, never mind scaling anything. And what makes this match even more tense is the backdrop. The club has just come off one of the most humiliating European nights in recent memory. 6 goals conceded to Club Brugge, and let's be honest, it could have been 8 or 9. There was no shape, no heart, no fight. And if the team shows even half of that collapse against Celtic, they'll be torn to shreds. The fans know it. The media knows it. And deep down, you can bet Russell Martin knows it too. He's already tried to calm the waters in his post-match interviews, talking about the need to keep working, about freeing the players up, about showing character. But words are cheap right now. Fans aren't interested in more interviews. They want to see something on the pitch. They want to feel that pride again when they walk through the Ibrox gates. And if Martin can't deliver that in the one fixture that demands fire and fight, then it's hard to see how he turns this around. This is where leadership comes into it. And I'm not just talking about from the dugout. I'm talking about the players on the park. We need leaders, real leaders, to step up. Martin praised James Tavernier for his attitude and leadership after coming off the bench in Belgium, and fair enough. He looked like one of the few who actually gave a toss when everything was falling apart. But that kind of effort needs to be the standard, not the exception. Because what we've been seeing lately is too many heads dropping, too many players hiding when the going gets tough. It's as if the whole squad's playing with a weight on their shoulders, and Martin even said it himself. He talked about how heavy everything feels right now. But let me ask this, whose job is it to lift that weight? Whose responsibility is it to make sure the players walk into that dressing room believing they can win? That's on the manager. That's on the staff. That's on the club. And it's not just a mentality issue. Tactically, the team looks lost. The defensive shape has been non-existent. The midfield's not clicking. Up front, we're struggling for goals, and now we've shipped out one striker while another's future is up in the air. You can't build a title-challenging team with that kind of instability. You just can't. And if this transfer window closes without major reinforcements, it's going to feel like a massive opportunity wasted. Majowski looks set to arrive, and he's got pedigree in the Scottish game. Strong finisher, good movement, knows the league. That helps. But this can't be a case of pinning all our hopes on one signing. The club needs to act decisively in these final days of the window. We need depth, we need character, and we need quality, and we need it now. And that brings us right back to the board. Because they're on the hot seat too. They created this fan advisory board, built this whole image of transparency and connection, and now they're being called out by their own system. If they ignore the fan board's demand to remove Martin, they risk being seen as completely out of touch. If they give in too easily, they'll be accused of having no backbone. It's a lose-lose, unless they make the right decision, and make it quick. Because time is not our ally here. Every week that passes with this kind of uncertainty, the more disconnected the fans become. And Rangers without their fans fully behind them? That's not Rangers at all. This club's identity is the supporters. It's the passion, the noise, the standards that are expected every single match. If you strip that away, if you let the stands go silent, you're left with a shell. That's what this match on Sunday is really about. It's not just about beating Celtic. It's about saving face. It's about reminding people what Rangers should be. And it's about giving the fans a reason to believe again. Russell Martin has 90 minutes to do that. Maybe less, if it starts badly. And Celtic, let's not forget, are no mugs. They've got momentum. They've got confidence. They smell blood. They'll be coming to Ibrox knowing that the pressure's all on Rangers. And if they get an early goal, if that crowd starts to turn, it could get ugly. And the board knows that. The players know that. And Martin absolutely knows that. In situations like this, a win changes everything. Suddenly, the mood shifts. The fans are back on side. The dressing room lifts. The media narrative softens. And Martin gets breathing space. But a defeat, especially a heavy one, and it's hard to see any way back. Not when the fans, the advisory board, and even parts of the dressing room look unconvinced. The pressure cooker will explode. We've seen it before at Rangers, managers hanging on by a thread, only for a derby to either end them or revive them. And right now, it feels like Martin is standing on that same ledge. What happens next could shape the rest of his career, never mind just his spell at Ibrox. So what should we expect? Well, we need to see fight. We need to see purpose. Whether it's a scrappy 1-0 or a dramatic comeback, it doesn't matter. But what can't happen is another soulless, toothless performance where the players look like passengers. If that's what we get, then the calls for change will become deafening. And it's not just the gaffer who needs to deliver. This entire squad is under the microscope now. Every misplaced pass, every missed tackle, every lapse in concentration, it all feeds the narrative. That this team isn't good enough. That it's mentally weak. That it's fallen behind its fiercest rival yet again. And unless someone takes that personally, unless someone stands up and says enough, then we're doomed to repeat this cycle over and over. That's why Sunday isn't just a match. It's a statement. It's a test of identity. And right now, nobody, not the fans, not the media, not even the players, seems sure of what this team's identity actually is. Are we contenders? Are we pretenders? Or are we simply drifting, hoping something clicks? The truth is, we're about to find out. And whatever happens, the fallout will be massive. Win, and maybe, just maybe, this becomes a turning point. Lose, and it might be the end of Russell Martin's short and bruising reign at Ibrox. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. The footballing scene in Scotland has been rattled by whispers growing louder with each passing hour, and the center of all this clamor is none other than Jamie McGrath, the Republic of Ireland international who has reportedly put pen to paper on a 4-year contract with Rangers. While no official confirmation has yet poured out from the Ibrox corridors, insiders across Glasgow are buzzing with excitement, and rival fans are voicing concern over the implications of such a shrewd capture. McGrath, whose versatility and intelligence in the midfield have been praised during his time in both Scotland and England, seems to embody exactly the sort of player the Rangers hierarchy have been eyeing to stabilize and energize their squad. The duration of the deal, a full 4 years, suggests serious long-term planning rather than a speculative punt, and that detail alone has stirred speculation about the club's broader ambitions both domestically and in Europe. Supporters are murmuring about what this means for the balance of power, and whispers in pubs from Govan to George Square are filled with the hope that this is not merely a rumor, but a reality that could set Rangers on a commanding path for seasons to come, adding substance and steel. The speculation has, however, not been confined to Ibrox loyalists, as Aberdeen, Hibs and Celtic supporters alike are questioning whether such a move, if indeed true, could tip the competitive equilibrium of the Premiership in Rangers' favor. McGrath, who has long been admired for his work rate, neat passing and ability to dictate tempo, is seen by many as a player who could blend seamlessly into a midfield that has sometimes been accused of lacking imagination in crucial moments. The narrative weaving through sports radio chatter and late-night discussions suggests that Rangers have not only secured a player, but possibly an entire new dimension to their tactical approach. Some observers argue that McGrath's arrival could pave the way for a reshaping of the midfield triangle, bringing fluidity between defensive resilience and attacking flair, a balance that has eluded Rangers in critical fixtures. Others wonder whether this commitment signals the club's intent to resist selling key assets in the near future, constructing instead a core that can mature together. Such conjecture is feeding the fever of excitement, with whispers traveling fast and opinions forming faster still, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation, doubt, and the ever-present rivalry that makes Scottish football so uniquely captivating to those within its passionate orbit. There is also talk of how McGrath himself feels about this apparent next chapter, though little has come directly from his camp, which only serves to intensify the intrigue. Known as a modest professional who avoids unnecessary headlines, McGrath has quietly gone about building his career, impressing managers, and winning respect from teammates with consistency rather than flash. His decision to reportedly agree a long-term stay in Glasgow is being framed by many as evidence of his desire to settle, to invest in a project with substance, rather than chase fleeting opportunities. This has created ripples among pundits who believe Rangers may be offering not only stability, but a platform for him to cement himself as one of the most reliable midfielders in the Scottish Premiership. Fans have taken to online forums to speculate about his potential role, whether as a deep-lying playmaker to shield the back line or a more advanced orchestrator threading passes between the lines. The debate is fueled by the sense that this signing, unlike others that have come and gone, carries a strategic weight, a calculated move rather than a gamble, suggesting McGrath could be integral rather than peripheral to the long-term blueprint at Ibrox Stadium. Among rival supporters, however, the murmurs are less optimistic and more tinged with apprehension, for they know well that Rangers have often found strength in players considered solid rather than spectacular. There is a lingering memory that it is frequently these kinds of signings, the dependable, adaptable, and industrious figures, who end up shaping the trajectory of a season more profoundly than marquee acquisitions. Observers note how McGrath's temperament, calm under pressure and yet hungry in challenges, may bring the grit that tilts close contests in Rangers' favor. Such qualities have been missing at times when the margins between victory and defeat were razor-thin, and the notion that McGrath could step into that gap makes this rumor feel more like inevitability than fancy. In whispered tones across the terraces, one can hear the cautious concern that this addition might arm Rangers with a crucial edge in domestic competitions, while in Europe his steady presence could allow more attacking teammates to flourish with freedom. This undercurrent of unease from rivals fuels the buzz even more, as supporters begin to imagine how his presence might alter the dynamics of an Old Firm derby or a European night under the lights, when small details matter most. Ultimately, the chatter swirling around Jamie McGrath's supposed 4-year deal with Rangers reflects more than just the signing of a footballer. It encapsulates the constant tension, rivalry, and ambition that define Scottish football culture. A long contract such as this suggests the building of foundations rather than the chasing of short-term gains, and that in itself represents a declaration of intent. Whether the rumor solidifies into confirmed fact or fizzles out into another fleeting story, the very existence of such talk demonstrates how much is at stake in the premiership narrative. Supporters cling to scraps of news, interpret every silence as a clue, and allow their imaginations to stretch toward possible futures in which McGrath wears the blue of Rangers, dictating play, anchoring attacks, and embodying the resilience fans crave. It is within this swirl of hope, doubt, rivalry, and anticipation that Scottish football thrives, and in this instance, McGrath is the name on everyone's lips, the subject of pint-side debates and back-page headlines. Whether by design or by accident, Rangers have succeeded in capturing attention, and the longer official word delays, the louder the speculation becomes, ensuring this rumor burns bright. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.